I'm Brad Becca, and this is my life story. I hope you guys enjoy. I was born in 1990 in a small town in West Virginia, and then I grew up in Ohio, which was right across the river from where I was born. Growing up, I remember having an awesome childhood. You know, I was blessed to have a family. I was blessed to have siblings. I had a younger sister, an older brother, and you know, our family was very, very happy. We were connected, and we were healthy. And I grew up in a great neighborhood too, so I had friends around me, and I was constantly outdoors, constantly playing. Heck, I can remember from the youngest age, learning how to ride a bike and skateboarding and playing basketball at the park, and you know, just going to the park with my friends and hanging out constantly from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. It was all day a thing, and I loved it, and I contribute that to how active I am right now. And I was blessed to have grown up in the 90s when I did, because we didn't really have access to technology. We had a TV, but we didn't have any cell phones. We didn't have video games yet. I think that the first video game came out was like a Super Nintendo, or the regular Nintendo was like the first gaming console that I got. And you know, we didn't even really play that much. We really just were outdoors. I was outside constantly with my friends around the neighborhood, and you know, my older brother and my younger sister had friends, and you know, everyone's just always active. And I loved it. I loved being outside. I loved being outdoors. I loved being active. I loved moving my body. I loved participating in sports. I played baseball growing up. When I got into 7th, 8th grade and in high school, I started running, and I got into cross country, and I got into track, and I really excelled in sports my high school years. And so I was athletic, and I was blessed to have been that way. But I think the reason I was athletic was because I was always outside as a kid. I was always doing something, climbing trees, running, jumping. We were biking, we were skateboarding, we were on our scooters. Like, we were always doing something. We were always moving our body. And so like, I think that, you know, over time, your body adapts to what you put it through. And so, you know, if you're sitting on the couch all day long and you're watching TV, your body's going to adapt to that. And it's not, you know, it's movement quality is going to go downhill. You're going to lose muscle. You're going to gain weight. Your body's going to adapt to what you put it through. And so I think that me being active and involved in sports at such a young age led me to where I am now. But I will say that my health as a child was not the greatest. And I remember constantly being in and out of the doctors. In fact, for the longest time, I was actually on testosterone as a child, because I actually stopped growing at one point, and my mom didn't know what happened, and the doctors were kind of clueless. And so I was actually put on testosterone therapy and had to see an endocrinologist at such a young age. And you know, I was constantly in and out of the doctors. And to me, that wasn't right. Like, when I got older was when I actually started to build more awareness on my health. And then I got into college, and I started dabbling in some, you know, unhealthy habits, drinking alcohol, staying up late, partying all the time, just running on empty, stressed out to the max. Wasn't moving my body as much in college. I mean, I was still like playing recreational basketball and going out with my roommates and things like that. But you know, my health wasn't really a priority then. My health and fitness kind of took a back seat when I got into college, and I really paid for it when I was a junior and senior in college. And I attended Ohio University, and you know, it was a big party school down there, and you know, I got involved in all of that, and I had a blast. And you know, the people I met down there and the connections I made and the things that I've learned, it was truly incredible. But the moment in my life where I needed to make a change, and I knew I needed to make a change, was my junior year in college, and I was sleeping literally sleeping all day long sometimes and still waking up and having no energy, having no appetite. My libido at 21 years old, 20 years old was hardly anything. That was alarming. I had no desire. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was underweight. I was malnourished. That really led me to want to become the best version of myself, and I wanted to take my health more seriously because I was going to the doctors at the time, and you know, none of the doctors could figure out what was going on. They all just tried to prescribe me medications and things that I didn't really align with. And you know, I wanted somebody to like figure out what was actually going on with me. And oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention too is I had terrible acne, like debilitating acne. Like it was so bad it threw me into the biggest depression and the lowest I've ever been in my entire life. And that was the point I knew I needed to make a change, and I wanted to take my health into my own hands. And so I spent every waking hour like researching about supplements and my nutrition and some foods that I can eat to, you know, help clear my skin. And through all of this, I found that, you know, your gut health and your digestive system is super important when it comes to your skin. As a matter of fact, they call your gut the second brain, and there's a gut skin brain connection. And it's very fascinating. I can dive into that in another video, but for this video, strictly focusing on me and my life story, I found out that my gut was a huge contributor to my lack of energy, to my lack of motivation, to my lack of sex drive, to my just my depression, my anxiety. I just didn't feel like a normal 20-some-year-old kid would. You know, most kids that age, they're peaking. They're almost like peaking and or not peaking, but like progressing, getting stronger, getting bigger. Like I'm 20 years old. I'm actually going backwards. I'm losing weight. I was malnourished. I was withering away. I felt like I was dying at times. And that was very alarming. And, you know, I spent years and years learning everything I could learn about supplements and health and nutrition and how food can actually heal you and how food can actually hurt you and how stress can hurt you and how your nervous system plays a huge role in your health. And, you know, all of these things that I now know and I now look back on, and I'm so glad that I went through all of that, even though it was the most depressing time of my entire life. And I was just, you know, I was on the verge of, I was thinking about suicide at times, and it was bad. It was the lowest point in my life. And I look back now and I'm like, I'm so glad I went through that, because it shaped me. It made me who I am today. And so throughout all of this, throughout all of my health and fitness journey, I decided to teach this to you guys, to build a community and to share my knowledge and the things that I've learned. And so, and graduated college and got a bachelor's degree in communications. And then I got out into the workforce, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do. So I got into several industries. The first industry I got into when I got out of college was I was a beer and wine salesman, and I knew that wasn't for me. Gas and oil industry was getting really big, and so I jumped into that one. And you know, the money was great, and it was good for a little bit, but then the hours and the stress of the work environment and all of that started to take a toll on me. I was working sometimes 15 hours a day, and sleeping 4 hours, and then doing it all again the next day. And in that industry, it's very brutal. And so I knew that wasn't for me. I knew I had to exit, and one day I just quit. And I thought my wife was going to kill me. I jumped into the health, fitness, and the wellness world. And again, I got my certifications with NASM, became a certified personal trainer, started training at a local gym was working with youth athletes from around the valley, and just really building up a clientele, building my name. I started working at a a clinic, a med spa called Thrive Wheeling. And I started to really dive into the whole recovery aspect of this all, which is fascinating. Experience with like red light therapy, cryotherapy. I'm actually cryotherapy trained. Flotation therapy, compression therapy, salt therapy, IV therapy, peptides, all these things that are, big into the wellness world. I became very familiar with them from working in the medical spa. And this part of my life was big for me because working in that setting, working at Thrive, I was exposed to every single day people who were coming in that wanted to better their health, and people who were dealing with health issues that they didn't know. They had no idea what to do. They've gone to doctor, they've done this, they've done that, they've tried this, and they couldn't figure it out. So I was interacting with people like this, hundreds of people like this on a regular basis, and using my experience and using my knowledge to sort of guide them and get them into services and help them with some products that we have to help them with their journey. And so that experience, that whole professional experience working in a medical spa, in a clinic, really opened my eyes to the amount of people out there who are struggling and who don't have ideal health. And chronic illness is through the roof right now, and I think that a large contributor to that is the fact that we're exposed to tons and tons of toxins on a regular basis. Our food isn't the way that it was years and years ago. There's pesticides and stuff sprayed on crops, and people were sicker than ever. And again, working at Thrive Wheeling allowed me to see that and allowed me to help people in depth, the adult population, and more so some of the youth athletes as well too. But alongside working at Thrive, I'm also working my own business, which I created in 2019. So I started my own LLC and became, my own boss and pursued personal training as an actual career. And so right around the time of me doing so is the time that I started, posting on social media and creating content and just going to the gym and filming my workouts. And if you actually go back into my Instagram, my Facebook, years and years and years ago, you'll see all that content. It's still up there. You can go back and look through. You can see all that content. I was just posting random workouts, and then COVID happened, and then everything shut down, and I actually got laid off from the gym, but I still kept my job at Thrive. And so I'm just posting content from my home and just working out at home because I had nothing else to do. And, just really focusing on taking my health seriously at the time. And because I had, what else were you going to do? Most people were letting themselves go during that period, but I was actually more dialed in than ever. So COVID was actually an odd time, such a weird time in my life. But it was such an amazing time because I actually got clarity and I actually got focus and I got direction. And coincidentally, I was gaining a lot of followers on social media. So the stuff that I was posting was like at home workouts, and people were really resonating with that, and people really, really enjoyed that. And I remember like jumping from like 700 followers to like 10,000 followers, like simply overnight. It was crazy. And then that's the point I knew I needed to start taking the whole social media world seriously, because, I could start to really impact people elsewhere, globally, on a global scale, not just locally, but globally. And then so I decided to take my training online and offer one-on-one coaching and online coaching and offer programs. And I'm still doing that to this day. And I'm so blessed that I've been able to take my training and my experience and my knowledge and bring it online to help people from all over the world, because I love helping people in my local community. But if the more people I can touch, the more people I can impact, the better. And so I've been very, very blessed. In 2025 is when I actually made the real leap, and I stepped back from my position at Thrive. I was full-time at Thrive, and I dove straight into my businesses, working me in my business full-time. And so I became a full-time personal trainer, full-time coach, a full-time content creator, and I love it. I love what I do. I love the fact that it's a non-traditional job. And I will say that it is very challenging at times. Being your own boss and being an entrepreneur is not easy at all. It is very, very challenging. And with that being said, I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in. I'm very thankful to be in the position I'm in. I'm thankful for the community that I've been able to build. I'm thankful for the audience that I have, and you guys have just been absolutely amazing. You guys have made all of this possible, and here I am making my first long-form YouTube video telling you about my life story, and I'm so excited to share my life story with you guys because I hope that it resonates with you. I hope that you become inspired by my journey. I'm not anything special. I'm literally just a guy from a small town in West Virginia who is passionate about health, fitness, and helping other people. And I also been passionate about creating content around that so that I can share with you guys the things that I learn. And so yeah, just going off a little bit on a tangent right there, but yeah, my life story, just gave you a brief breakdown of kind of everything that I've gone through in life, to the early challenges that I faced with my health, to having that be the catalyst that shifts me in my mindset into becoming a healthier version of myself. That's motivation. You should be motivated to become the best version of yourself, which leads me into the other part of my life that I forgot to share, is the fact that I am married to my beautiful wife. I do have an amazing family. I have 2 beautiful children. I have a daughter who is my world, and I have my son who is my world as well. And both of them, and all of them combined, my entire family, is what motivates me to become the best version of myself, because I can't pour into them if I am not healthy. If I am unhealthy and I have no energy and I have no motivation and no desire, like how can I pour into my family if I'm in that state? And I knew that back in the day, which is why I wanted to make a change. Most people know they need to make a change, but they never actually do. I'm so blessed and I'm thankful that I actually did. I actually made that change when I did, because I knew that if I were to keep going down that path at 20 years old, when I felt like crap, I felt the worst I felt ever in my life when I'm 20 years old. I knew that if I was going to continue going down that path, I was not going to live long. I just knew it. I felt terrible. And when I say that, I am not even exaggerating at all. And so yeah, fast forward, I'm so glad that I made that change, and I'm so glad that I went through that, because it gave me the knowledge and it gave me everything I need to be who I am right now. And I don't think I've peaked yet. I just turned 36. I have a birthday on May 10th, and I just turned 36, and I feel better now than I did when I was 20 years old. That say, oh, I peaked a while ago. No, you didn't. You just let yourself go, and now you're in the position that you're in now. But if you would have continued to keep yourself healthy, to keep yourself in shape when you were 20, as you got into your 20s and as you got into your 30s, you'd be in the best shape of your life right now. I promise you that. But it's when you stop, or if you don't start, is when your health starts to decline and go downhill. You just don't start to decline just because you get older. Age is your age, don't get me wrong, but like the decline isn't inevitable. It's actually a choice, and it's a choice that I decided to make when I was 20 years old. And I could either let myself decline further when I was 20 and continue the same habits that I was doing when I was 20, drinking and staying up late and partying and all those habits that were leading to my terrible health. I could continue doing that, or I could make a change and actually start to do some other things and take action the other direction to make the change. So here I am. I'm 36 years old. I'm as healthy as I've ever been, and I feel amazing. I feel great. I'm leading my family. I'm in my career. I'm doing well. Like I'm thriving, and I'm so thankful for that. And so my life story I feel like it's just beginning. I feel like it's just, backtrack a year ago in 2025, I did co-found a nonprofit called Level Up Athletics. And Level Up Athletics our mission is to provide elite coaching and structured athletic development programs for our youth, and even our adult populations right here in the community. And so I've been building that for the last year. We have an amazing team behind us. There are three other co-founders. I have a couple coaches that do programs for our organization. We're partnered with gyms. We're partnered with YMCAs. Like, we're partnered with schools. We have so much going on, and it's so exciting to be a part of that and to be the inspiration. And these kids, they love looking up to me, and they love looking up to our coaches, and our youth needs that more than ever right now. We need strong leaders. We need confident leaders. We need people and coaches who are going to guide these kids to be good people, not just in sports, but throughout life, in their careers. We need this, and that's why I founded Level Up Athletics, and that's a big mission behind Level Up Athletics. And so I've been working hard building that for the last year. Throughout my career as a social media content creator, I've been able to work with some pretty awesome brands. And to touch on that a little bit, I've been a sponsored athlete with Raw Nutrition. I've been a sponsored athlete with ASRV. I am currently a sponsored athlete with Kinetic. I have done deals with Body Armor, with California Walnuts, with the supplement brand Caged, Reef, Fox Racing. I've done so many brand deals, and I've been blessed to have so many connections in this industry and know so many people and have done so many things, and have traveled with brands and gone to events with people from all over the world, and just connecting with people. And I've been very fortunate because social media has allowed me to do that, and I've been able to build a big audience to influence a lot of people. And so right now, I'm currently working with an agency with all of my brand deals. I'm currently with Night Media, and so they're a good organization. I have a great manager who actively seeks out deals for me and helps me get those deals, and he takes care of all of that for me. So I'm very blessed to have that opportunity and to have that outlet and to have those connections in the social media world. And with coaching, my coaching business is busier than ever right now. So right now I'm doing in-person and online, and I in the past I'm working with professional teams. For instance, I work with a professional soccer team, Dueling for Lincoln, based out of St. Louis. They participate in the TST tournament every single year, and for the last 2 years I've been invited, and for the last 2 years I've been working with them. Great organization, great group of guys, amazing athletes, and really excited about that partnership and that opportunity. And so I have in-person clients that I work with throughout the community locally, and I typically travel to them. I travel to their houses and I train them at their house. I'm not really doing the in-person at a gym right now setting. I'm more of like a private in-person coach, as opposed to just like a guy on the gym floor for 9 hours a day, which is nice. And I'm still getting that in-person coaching and that experience. And but I'm not spending 8 hours a day doing it, and I'm not actually clocking in and clocking out for the day. And so I love what I do. I love that I can travel to people's houses and train them right there in the comfort of their own home. And I love what I do. I love being able to impact people's health and to show them that, and to help them with their fitness. So I work with a lot of people around here. Again, my nonprofit works with a lot of local athletes. We have several programs running yearly, and so I'm able to impact the youth as well too. And so I regularly go to the youth classes that my organization has. I connect with the kids, I connect with the coaches, and I make sure that I'm present. I make sure that I'm there, because I do genuinely have a commitment to these kids and a commitment to my clients, and so I'm very passionate about what I do. So I have tons of people that I'm working with online. I have an international soccer player actually playing in the World Cup right now. I'm working with a co-founder of an amazing sports entertainment brand, Dude Perfect. So I work with busy professionals, parents, people who don't have a whole lot of time. People just like me, you know, I'm 36 years old. I'm a dad. I'm running 2 businesses. I have 2 children. I have a family to provide for. I am constantly busy. I have hardly any time to myself. So I know the struggles of not having the time to work out, or, you know, I can't get to the gym and work out for an hour and a half every night. I can't do that anymore. I have other priorities, but I still make fitness a priority, and I still prioritize everything that I got going on, because, you know, I am one of those coaches that I am going to walk the walk. I always will walk the walk. I'm coaching from experience. I'm coaching from what I've learned and the things that I do, and I'm sharing them with you. I'm not coaching you from just the textbook. You know, I am educated, I am credentialed, but there's more to my coaching than just textbook coaching. I am actively engaged in becoming the best version of myself every single day. I am committed to that. I am passionate about that. That is my purpose. So I can continue pouring into the things that I pour into, my career, my community, my family. I can't pour into that if I'm unhealthy, so I'm actively working on my own health. My fitness is always going to be a priority for me, and, you know, it doesn't look the same way it did years and years ago, but my fitness is still a thing. I'm blessed because I'm still able to go outside and you know, sprint and jump and do all these amazing things that, you know, the body actually was designed to do. People get older and they stop sprinting, or they stop jumping, and they stop being able to do these things. It's because you haven't done them. It's because you stopped doing them. Your body just doesn't magically one day just shut it all down and you can no longer do it. Over time that develops. But if you continue doing that, then you can keep doing that. So that's my whole goal. Is I'm just trying to become the best version of myself. I'm trying to be inspired by what I do, and to be motivated, and to want to take action, and to want to become the best version of yourself. So that's what I kind of hope that my content speaks. You guys can see a glimpse into my life and see, you know, what I do and the things that I'm prioritizing, and hopefully that inspires you. And so I hope that my life story has also inspired you too, because I had an amazing childhood growing up, but I didn't come from a ton of money. I didn't come from having great health. I really didn't have the best health growing up, but I made the most of it. When I got to the point where my health was at the all-time low, that's when I needed to make a change. And I'm blessed that it happened to me when it did happen to me, because it doesn't happen to some people until it's too late, until they're too old. And so I'm thankful that my health declined and deteriorated when I was, you know, in my 20s. You know, as a parent, as a business owner, as somebody who's constantly on the go, like, I need physical exercise. I need training to be in my life, not just because of the physical benefits that I get from it, because of the mental benefits I get from it as well too. Like, exercise and fitness is just as much mental as it is physical. And that's another thing I've learned, is that, and that's why I'm able to keep that into my routine, because it plays such a big role in not just my physical well-being, but my mental well-being as well too. So fitness will always be a huge part of my life. Nationally recognized NASM trainer. So they reached out to me a couple years back and decided to feature me and my story on their website. And so I was very honored to be able to share my story and what I do, and reach out and connect with these people. And, you know, NASM's been a huge part of why I started and how I'm continuing to evolve as a coach. And so I'm very thankful for everything I've gone through. I'm very thankful for my life so far. I'm very thankful that I get to share my life story with you. And again, stay tuned. This is just the beginning. I hope to share some more long form content with you guys on this platform. If you've made it this far, that's pretty cool. And I thank you for sticking around with me and actually hearing about my story, because again, I'm excited to share it with you. I'm excited to keep continuing to grow with you guys. And you know, feel free to message me, throw a comment if you enjoyed this video, and just connect with me. I love connecting with my audience and my clients, and, you know, just my community. And so connect with me. I encourage you to connect with me, like my stuff, share my stuff, comment on it, give me a subscribe, send me a DM, connect with me, and I'll connect with you back. I appreciate all of you guys. I thank you so much for listening to my life story, and I hope you guys enjoyed.